Welcome back, League Nighters. Today, we're going to do another swing breakdown, but this time, it's going to be a little bit of special ones. So we're able to do this a little bit more in the future. We're actually going to be able to do some swing breakdowns of some conference level players. Now, have to give a massive, humongous, huge shout out to YouTube channel SW48. If you do not know who it is, absolutely check it out. If you want to see the best of the best play, the dude that runs the channel goes to all the conference tournaments. He gets tons of footage. He knows all the guys. He knows what they do. It is an awesome channel. And we reached out to him to see if maybe he would allow us to use some of his footage, and he kindly obliged. So we are going to be hopefully doing a few more of these in the future of some of the big time guys. Today we've got Ryan Harvey, probably the premier power hitter in all of conference, all the major conference play.
Guy hits tanks.
He absolute tanks. He is a beast of a man. I think we tried looking it up earlier. We're seeing he's 6'5", somewhere between 270, 280. Massive human being. Has some pretty abnormally crazy stats. I know you had some of those looked up. What is he going for? And remember, this is conference play. This is the best of the best. This is basically the major leagues of softball. It's crazy.
So a lot of times when you're playing in those major tournaments where you're competing for your state, stats won't get kept. So yeah, we can't say this is cumulative for all of 2021, but for what we saw for him competing, he reps Juno. So anybody that swings a Juno bat, Ryan Harvey has a signature model at Juno. 62 conference games, 41% home run percentage. Just let that sink in. 2 out of every 5 swings this man takes, that thing leaves the yard.
It's a home run.
Hit and sit, baby. Hit and sit. On base percentage, 701.
It's wild.
Phenomenal. 116 home runs over the 62 games that we have stats for in 2021. That guy averaged almost 2 home runs a game.
It's just what he does.
A monster.
An absolute monster. So naturally, a guy like that, you want to look at his swing. So this is going to be a little bit different than some of our previous swing breakdowns. We always talk about good stuff in swing breakdowns, but sometimes we also talk about like, hey, here's some things you can prove. Here's what we see. There's probably not going to be a lot of that here. I
don't think Ryan Harvey needs any tips from us.
He doesn't, and it doesn't matter what tips we give him. I would advise him to not listen to them. So whatever he's doing is working. So this is going to be
His name is printed on a bat. I might have a Sharpie name written on one of my bats, but yeah.
Yeah, just so you don't get it lost, though. Not, that's really the reason.
Because everybody on our U-Trip team swings the same loo.
Yeah, we swing the same bats, but
hashtag swing the loo.
Swing the loo. So for this one, I think it's more, we're going to kind of break down the things he does in order to kind of illustrate them for the rest of us to learn from. So I think that's a better approach here. We don't need to give this guy any advice. So we got 2 clips here. So I picked the first one, which is a home run swing. Reason I chose this one is because, as you heard before, the dude is a home run hitter. Like, that's his normal, so this is probably his approach most of the time when he comes up to bat, and then he tries to base hit in situational times. What we're going to do here, I'm just going to play it real quick so that way you guys can kind of see it in real time. So we'll just take a quick look here. Absolutely great swing. Let's take a quick peek in real time. Super just smooth, fast. Former baseball player swing. Hit that ball out. Looks like they're playing at
Space Coast.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing at Space Coast. So left center field at Space Coast is like 265 or something like that. So basically
265 or 365?
I'm sorry, 365.
Okay.
It's like, 365. Geez. No. It's 365. So basically 65 feet beyond what most everyone else plays at. So it's a massive field, and he just hit a line drive out of it. So
think baseball field dimensions.
Very much baseball field dimensions here. So let's kind of go through it real quick in slow-mo. Let's see here. So right here,
before we even get into it, I kind of just want to start. First thing I noticed is the guy is at the very, very front of the box.
Yes, yes.
I don't know how many people I see that are almost standing on that front line of the box. So really interested to see if he just wants to get that ball belt high or above, because that's just his power alley. But that's the first thing I noticed in this stance.
I noticed, and again, from watching SW48's channel, seeing a lot of the conference player, I noticed a lot of the conference players stand up close like that. So I don't know if it's just to catch a higher arc on that ball going through and to meet it a little earlier, I'm guessing, so you can get out in front of the ball like that. But I see a lot of the guys do that. So not uncommon amongst those players, but I would say pretty uncommon amongst at least most players I see in person.
Second thing that we had talked about that's really interesting is we had talked about the different grips on the bat. So if you stop it about 2 frames back,
right there,
you'll notice here, he's one of the guys that's of the philosophy that he's going to hang that pinky on his bottom hand.
Yep.
So you can see his pinky's actually hanging off the bat. And then if you look at his thumb on his bottom hand, he almost looks like he's wrapping that thumb.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the index finger with the pinky of his top hand.
Yeah.
And what we'll see as we get through is he's really going to use that extra leverage on that lever arm and just super exaggerate that snap, which is going to get so much bat speed.
Yeah. So basically, not the super overlap, but definitely some shortening of the hands, which and then lengthens the bat essentially. So again, you get that much more force out of it. One thing we were talking about too, this is a thing that is super weird for me, and I just don't do it. I don't know if I can, but like Jason is the master of the toe tap. So
the baseball tap.
It must be the baseball tap. Now, this one isn't nearly as pronounced. So he picks it up and just puts it back down instead of actually moving it. But he takes that little tap for his timing, moves it back. Yeah, moves it back like maybe an inch or two, and then it's go time. So notice starting his stride and the hands immediately are moving backwards, or
he's loading up.
Yeah, he's loading up, and maybe the hands aren't moving backwards as much as they're staying in place while his body is moving forward. But again, keeping those things way back. Massive. Let's see, we get him all the way planted. Massive stride right there. And again, remember this man is 6'5", so that's probably a 6 to 7 foot stride right there. You know, at least maybe not quite, but pretty long. So massive stride right there.
So notice he's got that front leg planted, and his hands still haven't even started coming forward yet.
Yeah.
So he is really, really getting all of that momentum, that torque through his hips, starting to get the bat moving and building bat speed before his bat even starts coming forward.
Yeah. Yeah. His whole body is creating that force coming forward. And then right now is when he's starting that brace of all of that force is going to get braced on that front foot. You'll actually notice his back foot comes off the ground here in a minute. So as we move forward, now remember, this is 30 frames a second. So every time I move 1 frame, that's a 30th of a second. So when we get here, let's see if that's where his foot comes up there, which I think is interesting. So again, this is something that happens to me just naturally. Now, granted, I don't have his kind of power, but I've seen a lot of guys hit with power that don't always get that back foot up like that, but he gets that foot actually off the ground. There's space there. So all of that weight now is transferred right here to this front foot. And notice his body is still balanced in between there. So he's still
hips
in really good
open.
balance.
He's really thrown those hips open.
Yeah, let's actually...
Probably why is he just exaggerates that hip opening so much that it probably just throws it off the ground.
Yeah. So like right now he's completely sideways with his hip, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 basically, maybe 5, 4 to 5 frames.
The ball's already gone in that 5th frame.
Yeah, he's already hit the ball at this point, and the next one it's gone. But I mean, we're talking about 5 frames, so a 1/6 of a second he basically goes from completely open to straight back at the pitcher hips. So massively hard turn, and again, hips lead the way. Hips get turned, then the ball gets hit.
Okay, so watch here. And one thing that I noticed, and we had talked about how like a lot of people that, myself included, and one of our viewer breakdowns that we did as well, we're talking about how we have just that late snap.
Yeah.
Watch his hands.
Yeah.
So as you go from, I'm going to call this frame 2 to frame 4, and then through frame 5, watch how that top hand, his right hand, is so exaggerated in this follow through in frame 5. His wrist is completely corked at that point.
Yeah.
So you can really see between frames 2 and frames 5, which is a fraction of a second, how much he's exaggerating that top hand, really flicking through the ball, which just generates so much bat speed and power.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting thing too, again, I know I have to talk about this with softball players sometimes, and they don't always understand that you have to extend your arms fully at basically at the end of your swing here. And this is a great example right here. He's probably got smaller than 90, like it's
tight,
lower than 90 degrees. It's tight on this back arm right now. But by the time he is connecting with that ball, both arms are full on straight extended. So he's using all of that. He's punching that back arm through and straightening it out. And again, like that ball's just going to go a mile.
Huge straight front leg, just bracing all of that torque on that front leg.
Completely straightened out.
Powerful. But notice his head down. You're
still
seeing
where the ball was.
Abs. Yeah, he's really not moving from the neck up. You watch that back, his neck up, so silent.
And that's the thing, like he probably doesn't even start looking up till there, and the ball has been gone for a couple of frames at that point, right? He's not even looking at the ball. So I would say that's a pretty good lesson. I try to tell that to some of the people when I coach them too, is that don't worry about trying to figure out where the ball is going to go. The defenders will always find it for you. So just hit the ball and stare at it the whole time. And as soon as you make contact, just run. Don't worry about it. Like, again, the defenders will find the ball. And then the other thing we had really talked about, which comes right after that straightening, he's got this massive flick throw his arms through. So watch this backhand. So watch this bottom arm here. Watch this hand as he throws this thing through. Like literally he's like full on wrist flicking.
The wrist flick. Yeah, 100%.
So like it is a literal like throw that bat around type of thing. So that wrist flick is super important. And then again with the follow through, this is actually an odd thing that we thought too, because now if you didn't know, Ryan Harvey's actually got a baseball background. He actually played in the minors, I think in the Braves system for a while, and then got injured, whatever, couldn't stay in the organization. So now he's like, oh, I'll just go hit bombs for softball. But notice when he gets through like this, he's on the way to first. He's out and running now. Most of the time, and we'll probably see it in future videos, most of the time when these big hitters hit the ball super hard, they're braced and they're actually almost slightly leaning back when they hit that ball. And so they've got that momentum. They kind of have to restart that momentum going towards first base. But I mean, literally this dude has gone from like full on braced attack mode, and then 3-4 frames later, like he's on his way to first, so super fast, super reactionary as far as like reaction time. Now, I don't know, when you're 6'5" and 270, I don't know how much foot speed you actually have, but certainly is making up some time here. And again, not that it matters because he always hits the ball out of the park, but he's making up some time just by getting out of that box super fast. Like he's a step out of the box already, and hasn't even dropped the bat yet, So it's kind of an interesting thing. Now, I don't know that most of the people watching these videos could get away with that, because again, that's the advantage of being 6'5" and 270, is that you have so much power that you can give up a little bit of efficiency on something else to make it up here, so give up a little efficiency in the power swing because he doesn't need all of it that he can create, but he's gaining something on the other side. So pretty cool there. I think for the most part, for the home run type swing, I think obviously this is textbook. Anything you wanted to add about the home run swing before we take a look at the more base hit swing? I mean,
the only other thing I suppose we should mention is that even though he hit that ball probably 400 feet, his bat path was still really flat.
Super flat.
So even though, if you look at the exit trajectory of that ball, it's not, it's kind of hard to see because his bat is legit moving so fast. But he's maybe getting a 15-degree launch angle. You're not talking about a lot. It's not a rainbow. That thing is a missile.
And it's not a loop either. It's you just got a little bit lower instead of swinging down and up. He's just still swinging that flat bat path, but he's coming slightly up. Like it's, and again, and you'll see in the next video too that he's like super flat on the base hits. But again, with a guy with this much power, all he's got to do is adjust that, like you said, 15 degrees, and now that's a bomb instead of a line drive double that doesn't get more than 15 feet off the ground. So
yeah, I've used those railings in the Space Coast facility as kind of just like a visual guide to the bat path, and you don't see a lot of change in the plane that he's swinging comparatively to those railings. I mean, it's a pretty beautiful flat swing.
Yeah.
Super good wrist snap. I mean, you really can't say much more than
can't do better than that. All right, so we're going to take a look at second video here. Again, Ryan Harvey. This one is more of a base hit. So again, we showed the home run first because that's probably his normal, and this is more of his situational swing. So let's just take a look at it in real time real quick. Nice big breath. Figure out what you're doing, nice and calm. Same setup as before. And then we'll see that ball's already on the ground, basically just hit it through the shortstop middle infielder straight to the fence.
Note the difference in the positioning in the box.
Yes.
Just comparative to the first one. He is
more
middle. Can't really see home plate in this, but I would assume his front foot's probably right on top of the front of the plate.
Yeah, because we can see the front of the box here.
Front of the plate.
We can see the front of the box and the back of the box. Back of the box, front of the box. If you went right in the middle, he's probably straddling the plate right now. So again, much different positioning. Good point there. So let's see. So
pitchers, it's important to see where the batter is standing in the box.
That's true.
It might tell you what they're trying to do.
Absolutely it will. So he's probably, and again, if that theory that we had holds true, where he stands in front in order to catch the ball a little bit higher and elevate, he's probably standing back to catch it lower so he can keep it low. I mean, that would make sense. So things I'm going to remember this weekend, that's for sure. But let's see here. Gets settled in, gets a little toe tap, and then when he's actually ready to go, this is probably about the same. He's going to toe tap. Let's see. Got a lot of wind up here. Here's the pitch. Slight step back. So just like last time, big old monster step forward. Yep. Things that I notice here, different wise. So if we go back to when he's stepping, to me, he is moving almost in a like angled downward towards that front foot. So notice he's coming down a little bit on that ball.
Yep. And you can see it in his shoulders too. A lot.
And
like
that's
positioning wise.
Shoulders are still pretty flat, but he's changed the angle. Instead of dipping a shoulder, he's kept everything and just changed the angle of his entire torso instead of, changing just his shoulders. But then if we notice here, when looks like he's finally planted on that front foot, notice he's also forward a little bit. So like his weight is shifted forward because he's coming down at that ball. When he actually comes through, this is what's so amazing to me. He finally gets those hips turned, and then look how flat this is. So if you look right now at where it is in alignment to this front bar, or this bar on the dugout right there, super flat, barely even changes, And again, it's slight downward.
And you got to imagine perspective too. That's going to be at a little bit of an angle away from the camera too, so it's not exactly flat. So I mean, that thing looks like it's almost perfectly flat, and you can kind of see his hands come at a little bit of a chop. So it's not as aggressive of that cut swing that you hear people talk about. But I mean, you got a little bit of a downward angle to really emphasize that you're trying to keep the bat flat and just drive straight through it and really keep that ball low.
Yeah,
also unrelated, I'm pretty sure that's Brett Helmer with the white hat there, the first guy.
Yeah, I think it is actually. So he's got a name on a bat too. So
he sure does.
Sure does. Absolutely destroying the ball, but keeping it low. So again, knowing your situation, which I know we've talked a lot about on previous podcasts about situational softball. Great example of a guy that can hit 265-foot bombs all the time, but
265?
365-foot bombs all the time that still
you coaching
knows,
little leaguers, Cam? What's the deal?
I do coach a lot of little leaguers. That would be a bomb for a little leaguer. Yeah, even a guy that can hit a 365 to 400-foot bomb still knows, hey, maybe we got a runner on third and it's really important that we score this run, and the chances of me being able to just pop a single or a double to the gap is super high, instead of, hey, I'm probably not going to get a pitch in this situation to try to hit a home run. So again, know the situation and do what you're supposed to do. Just do your job, right? Do the Bill Belichick, do your job. And I think that is just a great example of that again, guy that's best of the best, all of us could learn from that. Like absolutely every single one of us could learn from that.
Yeah, this swing looks a lot more controlled and a lot less, I'm just going to absolutely unleash on this ball.
Yeah.
You don't see nearly as much of an exaggerated extension of that front knee. He's not unloading nearly as much force. He's really doing a little bit of an arm swing for a man that size and the power he has. That's a very controlled swing that he's putting in there. He's still generating a lot of power, but he's not unleashing the full brunt of his ability there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But again, same thing. He gets that arm out in front, and again, you can notice that wrist flick is still super hard. Just throwing that bat through the zone. And same thing with the baseball background. By the time that bat gets even just the other side of his body here, he's already in a running position. Like he's already unstraightened that front leg and he's moving. So again, this ended up being a double. By the time that bat's behind him and he could actually let go of it, he's already in a crouched, leaned forward, time to run position. So, I mean, a lot of times you see this with lefties because they just, you know, you can kind of hit the ball, slap it to the opposite side, and then just immediately start running. But again, great example that you can be a right-hander and still get out of the box fast too. So great reaction time again from a huge human being. So definitely could all learn from that, I think. So basically same thing as the power swing as far as almost all of the technique, but just tweak tiny things. And that's what I try to tell people when they ask me about it too, is figure out your swing. And then when you want to do something different, change the smallest amount you possibly can to succeed. You know, you don't want to have, okay, well, I got to hit to the opposite side. I got to have a completely different swing. Perfect example. Hey, I need to hit a double in a gap and be accurate. I'm just going to change a small amount of where I stand in the box and maybe a slight angle of my bat, and I'm going to get the job done. So I think we could definitely all learn from that. Anything you got to add here for the base hit before we go?
This man can hit a softball.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I mean, this is game footage too. And I mean, if you guys ever have the chance, take a look online, find some Ryan Harvey, just home run derby, you know, major league stadiums, just hitting the ball forever. It's absolutely amazing. So
there's also a really, really good Ken Van Bogart video with Ryan Harvey that talks a lot about really how to emphasize that snap. Yeah. Definitely recommend checking that out. I mean, you've seen how well this man hits the ball. Yeah. Ken Van Bogart had a lot to say about how to help his game. So highly recommend that as well. Shout out again to SW48 for letting us borrow this content. Give his channel a follow, a like, a subscribe. A lot of great major content goes up there. A lot of really good game footage. Some of those major tournaments, any of the ones where all the big names are there. Yep. It's really cool. I've watched a few of those and I'm just like, oh, I've seen that bat. Oh, I've swung that bat. Oh man, those are real human beings. Yeah. And they hit the ball a mile. Woo!
There's a reason that guy's name's printed on the bat, not written with a Sharpie, right?
Yeah. Everett Williams. See that guy out there? Andy Purcell, Ryan Harvey. Yep. I mean, a lot of these big name guys. Yep. Jeff Hall.
Yep. Flip Washington's got a new bat too. Like, I'm hoping we can get footage of all these guys and break some stuff down for you guys in the future. So thank you for watching, everyone. We really appreciate it. Depending on what platform you're watching us on, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Anything you can do to let us know that you like what we're doing here. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.